Thank you for visiting the Combs Waterkotte website and our YouTube channel. Our criminal defense law firm in Missouri has over 400 perfect reviews and a long history of client satisfaction, dismissals, charge reductions, and victories. We have created these audio articles to help protect your freedom and rights. If hired for your case, we'll not give up until you get fair justice. Environmental crimes lawyer in Missouri. Federal charges can be complex, but particularly environmental crimes due to the overarching regulations and statutes. At Combs Waterkotte, our federal criminal defense team is built to take on environmental crimes in U.S. district courts for eastern Missouri, St. Louis, Louis, and western Missouri, Kansas City. With decades of experience, federal courtroom knowledge, and a track record of success, we defend Missouri clients facing federal allegations. Environmental law violations are aggressively prosecuted at the federal level, and the penalties can be severe. If you or your business is under investigation for environmental violations, you need an experienced federal environmental crimes lawyer in Missouri who understands the complexity of federal regulations, compliance obligations, and courtroom strategy. At Combs Waterkotte, we provide strategic, results-driven defense for clients charged with offenses such as illegal waste disposal, Clean Water Act violations, or unlawful emissions. Whether you're facing administrative sanctions or a full-blown federal indictment in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Missouri in St. Louis, Louis, or the Western District in Kansas City, our team of environmental crimes lawyers has the knowledge and tenacity to protect your rights. Charges for federal environmental crimes are nothing to balk at. Contact Combs Waterkotte or call 314-900-HELP right now for a free, confidential consultation. What constitutes an environmental crime in Missouri? Environmental crimes are violations of laws designed to protect human health and the environment. These can range from improper handling of hazardous materials to illegal dumping or emissions beyond permitted levels. Common federal environmental crimes that our skilled legal team has decades of experience in include violations of the Clean Water Act, CWA. These could include discharging chemical, medical, or radioactive waste into water sources in the U.S. without a permit or in violation of a permit, discharging sewage sludge into water, discharging oil into water or off the shores of the U.S., introducing or discharging pollutants or hazardous substances into a sewer system or water treatment facility, tampering with monitoring equipment or other devices that regulate or measure environmental impact, intentional failures to maintain records, report spills, or other accidents that impact the environment, making false statements to the EPA relating to an individual or company's compliance with the CWA, violations of the Clean Air Act, CAA, including knowingly constructing or modifying a building that emits hazardous air pollutants or otherwise failing to comply with the National Emission Standards for Hazardous Air Pollutants, ANESHAP, failing to comply with federal regulations governing the proper disposal of asbestos materials, building or importing a vehicle that fails to meet CAA emission standards, as well as tampering with emission control devices in a motor vehicle, operating a building or vehicle that emits hazardous air pollutants without a permit, negligently emitting hazardous air pollutants that put others in danger, violating an emergency order issued by the EPA, knowingly failing to comply with the CAA's certification and reporting requirements and tampering with monitoring devices, illegal disposal of hazardous waste under the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, RCRA, including storing, treating, transporting, or disposing of used oil not identified or listed as a hazardous waste in the RCRA, transporting unidentified hazardous waste or used oil without a manifest, exporting a hazardous waste identified under the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act without the consent of the receiving country. Generating, storing, transporting, or disposing of unidentified hazardous waste while destroying or altering documents filed with the government. Making false statements in an application, label, report, or other document filed with the government. Toxic Substances Control Act, TSCA, violations like failing to meet federal standards for disposing of regulated chemicals, unlawfully producing, using, or distributing regulated chemicals for commercial purposes, failing to maintain records or submit reports to the EPA as required, failing to permit an inspection by the EPA or any other government regulatory agency, transportation of hazardous substances without proper documentation, unlawful emissions or effluent discharges, illegal wildlife trading, including ivory, pangolins, and other wildlife, illegal logging, criminal negligence resulting in environmental contamination. These cases are often investigated by agencies such as the EPA's Criminal Investigation Division and the Department of Justice, DOJ. You need an environmental crimes legal team familiar with federal criminal procedures, discovery rules, and sentencing guidelines that apply in federal courts. What's the difference between federal and state environmental crimes? Federal environmental crimes are typically violations of major U.S. environmental statutes, like the ones listed above, and involve interstate pollution, hazardous waste transportation, or federal facilities. These are investigated and prosecuted by federal agencies and attorneys. At Combs Waterkotte, we are well versed in federal criminal procedures, discovery rules, and sentencing guidelines that apply in these courts. State-level violations are enforced by the Missouri Department of Natural Resources, DNR, and prosecuted under Missouri criminal statutes. The penalties are far less severe. What are the penalties for environmental law violations in Missouri? Federal environmental crimes are not treated as minor offenses. Charges filed in the eastern or western districts of Missouri can lead to prosecution in St. Louis, or Kansas City, respectively, venues known for their rigorous enforcement of environmental laws. Depending on the alleged violation, consequences may include fines exceeding $50,000 per day of violation, restitution to harmed individuals or communities, federal prison time for corporate executives or business owners, loss of business licenses or permits, mandatory environmental cleanup under EPA oversight, corporate probation or debarment from federal contracts. What you should do if charged with environment crimes in Missouri. If you are facing a federal environmental violation in Missouri, the next steps are critical. A conviction can bring steep fines, federal prison time, and long-term consequences for your reputation and business. Here's what you should do immediately. Contact an experienced environment crimes lawyer immediately. Do not wait. You need an experienced lawyer who can help review any violation documentation and begin building a defense strategy, as well as possibly intervening before formal charges escalate or an indictment is issued. Exercise your right to remain silent. Do not speak with any investigator or law enforcement officer, no matter what badge they show or what acronymed agency they work for. Statements made early can and will be used to build a case against you. Preserve all relevant records and documents. Immediately secure any internal communications or safety documentation, contracts, or third-party records related to waste, emissions, or environmental handling, as well as any permits, compliance reports, and inspection reports. These materials can help build a strong defense or demonstrate a lack of intent. Do not alter or destroy any evidence. Even if you suspect wrongdoing occurred, do not delete files, destroy documents, or try to fix violations retroactively. Doing so could lead to obstruction of justice or other additional charges. Begin building a compliance narrative. If you've made proactive efforts to stay in compliance, such as employee training, third-party audits, or self-reporting, this can help in negotiations with regulators or in court. If not, your Combs Waterkotte environmental crimes attorney can help initiate a corrective action plan to show good faith. Stay ahead of the story. If you're a business owner, employee, or executive, reputation matters. We help clients manage sensitive communications with regulators, investors, partners, and the public to reduce the damage of publicity and preserve operational continuity. How we defend against federal environmental crime charges in Missouri. No two environmental cases are alike. One distinguishable feature of federal environmental crimes is that they don't require an intent to endanger others in order to be prosecuted. We tailor each defense based on the facts, the regulatory framework, and your goals. Our defense strategies may include challenging the scientific evidence or testing procedures, proving compliance or reliance on inaccurate agency guidance, contesting the chain of custody for samples, negotiating with regulators for reduced penalties or civil resolution, fighting for dismissal based on due process violations. In many cases, we can resolve allegations before charges are filed, saving your reputation, resources, and future. If you're facing charges in Missouri, call a Combs Waterkotte environmental crimes lawyer right away at 314-900-HELP or reach out online. How a Combs Waterkotte federal environmental crimes lawyer can help your case in Missouri. The government builds tough environmental cases, but a strong defense strategy from Combs Waterkotte can protect your future and challenge the charges against you. What can happen if you don't hire a federal environmental crimes lawyer in Missouri? Risk of serious felony charges without solid defense. Federal agencies can build strong cases using complex rules. Potential for huge fines for violations. Accidental admissions during investigations. Loss of business licenses and contracts. Prison time and damage to your career and reputation. Aggressive federal prosecutors will push hard against you. Missed chances to negotiate or challenge evidence. Backed by resources and expertise that make a difference when facing environmental crime charges in Missouri. Environmental law cases require technical knowledge, expert witnesses, and strategic negotiations with government regulators. At Combs Waterkotte, we know how to handle high-stakes litigation and secure the best possible results under the toughest circumstances. We have access to a bevy of resources, including top-tier environmental consultants and scientists, former regulators and EPA experts, proven criminal defense trial attorneys, relationships with key agencies and federal prosecutors, a client-centered approach to complex legal challenges in Missouri. Environmental crime investigations can be overwhelming and confusing. You deserve a legal team that puts your priorities first, keeps you informed, and fights relentlessly on your behalf. We understand the stakes, and we deliver the defense you deserve. At Combs Waterkotte, we offer clear, honest legal guidance from day one. You'll work directly with seasoned attorneys, not just support staff. We keep lines of communication open and transparent. Your reputation and business are treated as if they were our own. Contact a Missouri environmental crimes lawyer today. If you're facing criminal environmental allegations, don't wait for regulators or prosecutors to make the next move. Get proactive legal defense today. Call 314-900-HELP or contact us online to schedule your confidential consultation with an environmental crimes lawyer in Missouri. No matter the severity or location of your case, the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Missouri in St. Louis, or the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Missouri in Kansas City, we are ready to fight for you.